There, I just wanted to take just a moment to kind of explain that you need to be a little bit careful about plagiarism and fact checking when you're using some of these GPT-3 powered AI writing tools. You know, the tools are amazing. They're fun to use, they boost your writing speed a ton, sometimes the quality, and they'll even find new ideas for you to write about and all the good stuff that comes with them. But as easy as they are to use, they're not perfect, and they do need a little bit of help from you to make sure that the content is good, it's quality, and also that it's actually yours. Because you know the they write a lot of cool content, but they kind of get their content from somewhere, don't they? So you need to be a little bit careful. Uh, the AI can accidentally plagiarize someone else's work, and I don't want to scare you because it doesn't do that too often, or at least not enough to where it's actual plagiarism. Of course, it's using content from millions of websites all over the place, and thousands of books and such. So it's forming its own sort of, it's I guess forming its own sort of content, but it's based off of those, and sometimes it might accidentally take too much of a certain source. But it doesn't happen that much. It's not really necessarily the plagiarism I want you to be worried about. It's more the fact checking. But first, just in case you don't know, what is plagiarism? It's when, you know, someone reuses someone else's work and claims it as their own. But what is AI plagiarism? It's when a machine uses real world words from the source texts that it was taught from, and uses too much of it to write their own. Because machines can't invent their own words, so they're just using the words from those sources, and sometimes issues can arise when they pull too much from their sources. How can you prevent it? Well, you really can't. These AI, right? Like I said, they don't invent their own words, so it just kind of comes down to when they're being trained. They must be provided with a really, really large data set in order to prevent, the accidental use of too much content from a single source. And luckily, GPT-3 is a huge, very vast data set. It's very extensive, so it does a pretty good job of not plagiarizing totally, but it can accidentally reuse parts of some sources, so be careful. Kind of check your work, and if you use something like Grammarly Pro or Premium, it'll do the plagiarism checks and stuff for you. There's less to worry about. Okay, fact checking. You really, really need to fact check any statements of facts that the AI claims in your article. Fact checking is when you're checking the accuracy of statements of facts or statistics, and you really need to be careful with AI because um, it'll make some claims and it'll sound good. You won't know the difference if you're not an expert in the topic. You might just continue on and think that everything is fine, and then publish your paper or your article, and then later discover that you've got a few blunders in there. Now the AI is smart, but it's not smart enough to know how smart it is. I like to say it's kind of a sort of way of saying that it's going to put things in there because it's going to connect some dots between different adjacent sources, and it'll use that in the same context that is your article, and it'll make you think that it's something real. So here I am on an article that I just kind of whipped up real quick to show this in action. You need to be careful of things like the year, the height of this. I'm talking about Tokyo Tower, which is a tower in Tokyo, named Tokyo Tower, and it's a famous landmark here that tourists come to visit. And it's been around for a long time, so it should have a lot of information about it. It's not like it's brand new this year and there's not enough information for the AI to pull from. So it's going to have quite a bit about it, and it's got the year, the height, that it's the tallest self-supporting steel structure in the world. These are types of things where it should throw a red flag for you. The year it was built, That could be right. I'm just going to assume that this is correct and that this is the height of the building. In previous attempts to write this same article, the AI didn't include the self-supporting steel structure part. It just said the tallest structure in the world, and that's not true. This one is true, and so you just got to be careful. Um, so continuing down through here, total cost of 9.8 million. I'm not sure if that's true or not. I'd have to double check that, and just continuous things like that. And in an article like this, there's a lot of facts, and I have a feeling that most of it is probably true, given the fact that it's about Tokyo Tower. It's a thing that doesn't really change much. It's been around for long enough to where there's probably thousands or tens of thousands of articles online about Tokyo Tower, so it probably isn't making too many mistakes. It's when you get down to here where I did find a mistake, and it would be very difficult. I mean, I think even for somebody who was a real pro in the field to catch this. So I caught this because, I'm trying to find the mistakes so that I can show you exactly what's going on here. And so the design of Tokyo Tower was created by Mr. Masao Ito. That's what it says. You probably would just continue on because it sounds like, yeah, okay, he had to think through many different concepts for Tokyo Tower. He wanted it to compete with the Eiffel Tower. Makes a lot of sense, right? It sounds right. Sounds legit. Okay, well, okay, let's just see. Mr. Masao Ito, did you really write this? Let's see. We'll just go to Google, and we'll just do. Let's see. I've already searched for it. So, Masao Ito Tokyo Tower, right? Do something like this, and if you go here, okay, turns out this guy is a neuroscientist. Didn't have anything to do with the creation or the design of Tokyo Tower in any way. And so, well, that's sort of interesting, isn't it? So we'll go back to Google here real quick, and we'll just search for the other thing that I most recently searched for. Who designed Tokyo Tower then? Okay, so it turns out that it's this person who designed Tokyo Tower, and it's not even close to the same name, right? So you're kind of wondering, like, how does it, like, maybe somebody, no. Yeah, so as you can see, it's very important to double check the AI. So I would have to go back through and edit this to make sure that I put the correct person in there. And then, every point where there's statements of fact, make sure you double check it. And then one last note about using AI to write your content like this is one good way of kind of combating the potential for plagiarism and the statement of fact issues is that you should really be trying to edit these and change them into your voice anyways. Don't just accept the text completely as it is. Spend some time doing some editing, change the tone, the clarity, the voice of the article. And this is something also that Grammarly Premium can help you with to save you a ton of time. And, don't forget, this is your article. Be the boss. Write it. OpenAI doesn't really approve of the scalable generation of synthetic articles for SEO purposes. So don't really kind of come into these tools with the expectation that they're going to generate everything for you. And if you do that, you'll do great, and you'll get real productivity out of these tools, and the articles will still be yours and high quality for your readers. That's it for this guide. I hope that you find it helpful, and if you like this type of content about the AI tools and the content workflows that they can assist you with or augment your productivity, please consider subscribing to the AI Content Dojo and head over to the site, join the email. It's totally free. I don't spam. I just notify you whenever I have new guides. I don't even notify you every single time. I send it out, once a week ish, just to kind of, after I've built up maybe 2 or 3 or 4 new guides, I'll send you an email that says, hey, check these out. Maybe you can learn something new from them to increase your productivity. And until next time, take care.